Hello guys, and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today, I am going to be attempting something that I've never done before, never done anything like it. I'm going to attempt to make myself a dress. Now, I don't have any sewing experience pretty much whatsoever. My Nana tried to teach me to sew when I was young, and it did not do well. We've worked on a few projects together, and that's pretty much the extent of like I practiced sewing a hem or something. I've never done like a full project. I've never done any of the complicated parts of sewing. So this is all gonna be new to me. So I'm gonna go out and look for a pattern that I like. I'm just looking for a dress that is very full coverage, like high neckline, long skirt, no cutouts or anything like that, not too form-fitting. More and more I've realized, like as I get on Pinterest and look for things that I like to wear, I've realized that not a lot of people make the kind of dresses that I'm looking for. I mean, a lot of like sustainable brands or higher end brands or like brands that are specifically marketed for like modest clothing will. But a lot of times those come with a price tag, and I'm not always willing or able to pay that. I like to buy most of my stuff from the thrift store. It's more affordable, it's more sustainable, but the selection is varying and it's not always a large selection or a large variety of things. I actually did, in preparation for this project, I did work on a couple pillowcases. I took some of my husband's old Hawaiian shirts that don't fit him anymore or have holes or whatever, and I turned them into pillowcases just so that I could get used to like how to pace myself on the sewing machine and just wrap my head around how to sew things together. Other than that, I have never done this before. I'm completely self-taught. I am figuring this all out as I go, but it's so important to me that I kind of like up my skills as a mother and wife and homemaker, because I don't work outside of the home at this point, and I'm not bringing in an additional income. And so I really have to focus on the things that I can do to help us save money and whatnot. So making my own clothes is definitely going to be a big part of that, and I'm excited to hopefully be able to grow in these skills and be able to provide for my family better. So without further ado, let's see how this thing goes. So I started out by finding some fabric that I really liked, as well as a pattern. And so after I cut out the pieces of the pattern, I ironed them, and then I pinned them to the fabric and then cut all the pieces out. Then I realized I have literally no idea what I'm doing. So after about an hour and a half and 3 breakdowns, I finally learned how important this little booklet is that came with my pattern, and how it shows me, I can lay out all the pieces, and it shows me which ones are on the fold and which ones are not. And the fact that I needed to have the pieces I already cut out actually lay upside down. But now I realize that this little book, it's a lifesaver, and it's gonna show me how to put it all together too. So I'm glad that I looked at this before I tried to like figure it out myself. So it should be relatively smooth sailing at this point. So now with my newfound idea of what's going on, I started ironing and doing more ironing and doing some pinning and doing a whole lot more pinning and then some more pinning. And then I did some cutting and some more cutting and a whole lot more cutting. And that's all this was for quite a while. But then I finally had pieces that when you put them together kind of looked like a dress. So I had the top part, and I went ahead and put that together. So this is what I have done so far. This is the front of the top, and then the back of the top is obviously going to get like a zipper, so we didn't sew that together yet. Yes, we just did the darts and assembled the top. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the sleeves. I don't really like the ones in the pattern, so I might have to like look up a YouTube tutorial of how to make my own, but I'm not even sure what direction I want to go yet. I'm thinking that'll be the last thing I do. But the other thing I was thinking, before I sew up the skirt and attach it to the top, I actually would really like a liner for this skirt, which my pattern doesn't really call for. But just because the material, it's light in color, it's that material that I feel like will kind of cling to my body a little bit too much. So I just feel like giving it that like slip underneath is gonna make it look nicer, feel nicer, fit better. So that's my plan right now. I would love to go to the thrift store and find maybe like an old sheet or some remnant fabric or something like that to turn into the liner, because I feel like that's just a way more affordable option, as well as more like sustainable, more responsible. But if I can't find anything after a couple trips to the thrift store, I may just go ahead and go to Joann's and check out the remnants. So again, my pattern doesn't call for that, so we're just gonna figure it out together. At the first thrift store, I completely struck out. I looked at the sheets, I looked at the remnant fabric, I looked everywhere I thought I could find some. I did find a couple plain white sheets at this first thrift store, but they were ridiculously expensive. So I had to go to another one. So I actually ended up striking out on the fabric last night at the thrift store, but then I went to another one today that was having a big everything half off sale. And so it all worked out because I found this fabric that's really nice, and it ended up being only $1 for all of this fabric, which is crazy. And I should have more than enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the washer, and then I need to cut it to pattern and then sew it all together. So I get right to work sewing up my slip and the skirt of my dress, get it all sewn together, and then I actually sewed the slip to my dress. And this was one of the hardest parts because this was the biggest piece of fabric that I had worked with up to this point. But once I got it done, I was feeling pretty good. Until I realized that I had sewn the slip to the good side of the fabric, thinking that I was going to then turn it inside out, and then it left me with this huge chunky seam. And so then I was like, great, what do I do now? I was really frustrated because it was hours of work. So I realized the only thing that I could do was truck along. I could either basically restart, or I could seam rip everything that I had just spent hours sewing, and then sew it back together, make sure the slip was sewn to the bad side of the fabric. That way, when I sewed all these two pieces to the top, it was like a nice, thin, streamlined seam. So this is what we're working with right now. I've got the top all sewn to the bottom, and I have the slip sewn underneath. So we're ready for the zipper. What it looks like right now on bod. So obviously the zipper is going to connect it in the back, and yeah, I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna lay without a sweater underneath, but this is what we've got going on right now. All right, let's get sewing. So I got the zipper all pinned to the dress, and then I made sure to switch out to a zipper foot, and then got that all sewed together. Honestly, the zipper was one of the hardest parts. It took me forever to figure out, and I ended up actually not doing a super great job. You can only zip it about halfway down, but it's enough to get in and out of the dress, so it's fine. So this is how the dress is looking so far. It's completely put together. The neckline, I did a finishing edge on it. I did change up from the pattern. It wanted me to add like this collar, and I put it on and I decided I didn't like it, so I seam ripped it off and then just did an edge finish. And it definitely like has an excess of fabric here, like that. It's not perfect. Like it wasn't supposed to be this way. So that's kind of why it gaps a little bit right there. So when I eventually learn to like do my own alterations and stuff, I might try to like take this, like, you know, make it tighter here. We'll have to see. And then I also found a little hole in one of the seams. I wasn't sewing straight and I actually kind of missed a tiny bit of fabric. So I need to go back and fix that up. I also need to finish out this zipper because it was supposed to attach to the collar. And so there's these bits that stick out. And so obviously that needs to be fixed. So I need to either, I need to find a way to conceal them or get rid of them or whatever. I did finish the hem on both the slip and the actual skirt itself. So it's literally finished other than that little hole and the zipper. The neckline, I don't mind how it is right now. Like it doesn't particularly bother me. And in fact, when I pull it down a little bit more, it sits even more nicely. So that will be a project for a later time. I'm not that worried about it right now. So it goes down to, I don't know how far I'm gonna have to go for you to see. It goes down to about mid calf on me, which I think is great. After I hemmed it and everything, it ended up being a really good length. So yeah, I'm really liking it. It has a nice full skirt to it. It's so comfortable. Other than those couple of fixes, I'm done. Other than the sleeves. So I mentioned this before, but the sleeves that came with the pattern, I'm not a big fan of. They were kind of like this tulip almost looking like overlay, and I don't like that type of sleeve on me personally. And whenever you like move your arm up, like it kind of comes out of the sleeve, almost like the sleeve dangles below your arm, and I don't really like that for my wearing purposes. So I was thinking of creating something more like this, which as I pulled this out, I realized how similar these dresses look. But one big perk for me of making my own dress is I can make it exactly how I want. I'm really glad that I was able to make this one something that I would feel 100% comfortable and confident in, you know, moving around, like not worrying about what's being shown. I do really like this dress. I think it's pretty, but like I wore it for my rehearsal dinner for my wedding. I wore it on my honeymoon actually. And then I wore it for a photo shoot that we did soon after Rosie was born. And I just really haven't worn it again since. And I think it's because I just don't feel comfortable in it. I'm constantly worried about what's showing, and yeah, like just not my thing. But I do like the sleeves on it. Of all the sleeves that I've looked at and thought about, this is the one that I like the most. So when it is on you, the sleeves lay nicely like this. They're nice and flowy. But it really is just like a triangle of fabric. So I definitely think I'm gonna be able to figure this out. But I'm thinking I might just use this as my pattern and kind of cut around this, or trace it and cut around. I think we should try it. I'll pin it on the dress if I don't like it. I have tons of extra fabric, so I can always try something else. But I want to try this first because, again, the whole purpose of me making this dress is to make it what I want it and how I'm gonna wear it. We'll see how it goes. I'm procrastinating because I'm really nervous because I struggled enough as it was following the pattern, and now I'm like freestyling. So all right, you know what? No more procrastinating. Let's just do it. It's gonna be okay. At the end of the day, it's just a little bit of fabric. I can always redo it if I need to. I just need to keep telling myself, like, it's gonna be okay. It's just fabric. It's just a dress. So at this point, I'm just laying out the sleeve, trying to get it all measured out so that I can get the look that I'm wanting. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what happened. I was recording and then I stopped halfway through. Basically what I did with this was I lined up, so this is just the seam that I'm gonna sew right now to make this top seam of the sleeve. This just the straight edge here. This line, I loosely followed the armhole on my dress. So you can kind of see how those are similar in shape, but I did leave extra fabric at the top and here so that when I do the hem, it'll still fit nicely. And so I think I need to sew this top seam up and the hem so that whenever I sew it into here, it's already the right size. I'm not super confident that this is gonna give me the flowy look I want. So I just made this with scrap fabric so I can just kind of experiment, and then hopefully I'll be able to go from there and make it a shape that is gonna be more suitable if this doesn't work. But if this does work, then great. So I was honestly confused during this whole process. I almost sewed the sleeve on backwards, and then I almost sewed it on upside down. And I mean, it was, yeah, I was very confused, but I got it attached. Here it is. So I only did the one side. I need to figure out how I'm gonna make it match, but I'll show you what it looks like on bod. So this is what it looks like right now. Obviously I don't have the sleeve done, so we'll just focus on this side. So I like it. I think it's really sweet. It's not as flowy as I thought it was gonna be, or as I hoped it was gonna be. And I think I knew that before I even like sewed it on or anything. I think I saw the lack of fabric and I was like, this is not gonna be as flowy, but I like how simple it is and how sweet it is. So I really like how it looks right now. I just need to figure out how to duplicate it on this side, and I will just go ahead and do that off camera because I don't even know why I didn't make this sleeve. Let me tell you, sewing something onto like an already circular surface is not easy, but I will say I'm completely self-taught. I don't actually know if this is the right way to do this, but I did this seam down the middle, and then I left the sleeve open, and then I sewed it up this side, and then I sewed it down that side. Like I never connected these two together. So I feel like that's the right way to do it, but I don't even know if there's another way to do it, but that's how I did it. So, and I'll just show you the finished product when it's all done. So I just want to jump on here really quickly to point something out that I had overlooked when I created the sleeve the last time. One thing that I did was I took the armhole to create the other side. Like I used kind of like a straight edge. Actually, I followed the sleeve on this dress to make this side here. And then I used this armhole to create the other side. And really, so here I had it kind of, oh gosh, I don't know. See, this is what I'm saying. This is really confusing. This is why I couldn't really figure out even what I was doing last time. Instead of following this curve, it did like the opposite. So it kind of went like, I don't know how to explain this. It had way too much fabric when it got to this part. And then I ended up like trimming it, whatever. So I thought I actually was jumping on here to show you guys what I was doing to correct that. But now looking at it, I'm thinking I may have done it the wrong way again. If I cut it like that, it's gonna be the same thing that it was last time. Like I need it to, I don't know. I gotta wrap my mind around this. But basically the way that I did it on this sleeve was wrong. So So that's it. That is the completed dress. I'm so happy with the way it turned out. Of course, I noticed every little imperfection in it, and there are a lot, but I'm just so proud of myself that I was able to like do this by myself. I mean, don't get me wrong, my mom came and helped me a few different times. I looked up YouTube videos a couple times, especially in the beginning, but I honestly, it was so much harder than I thought it was gonna be. And it took me a long time, actually. It took me about 2 months to complete this. And I wasn't able to work on it as often as I would have liked. And because I don't have like a permanent place, I was like setting things up and then I would have to move it and then I'd reset it up. Like everything took a lot of time and it was my first big project and I'm still learning. And so I'm just thankful that I finished it, and I finished it in a relatively timely manner. Like I didn't just leave a half finished dress sitting around the house for 6 months or anything. So I'm really proud of myself. It really doesn't fit me that well right now. It's a bit longer than I would have liked. The sleeves are a little bit shorter than I would have liked. The whole neckline in the back, like it gaps, and in the front it will gap. And so eventually I'd like to alter that so that it lays much nicer because it's super noticeable and not very flattering. The fabric is just pretty flimsy. So, and then I don't like where the waistline is, and I can't really fix that at this point because it has a zipper in it. So, but also the fabric is really stretchy, and actually the top is too small for me. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do with it. Hopefully I'll be able to tailor it and fit it to myself over time. I probably won't be wearing it too much for now, especially without like a cardigan or something kind of covering up a few of those imperfections. But I honestly I'm just so proud of myself, and I feel so empowered. Like I can do anything for my family. Yeah, it's a really good feeling. So if you have been following along for this long of a journey, this whole video, thank you so much for sticking around and for supporting me. If you'd like to continue to support me, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon, you know, the whole shebang. But yeah, that would be really awesome if you guys were able to do that. And that's it. I've got my dress. That's the end of the video. I hope to continue making more content like this. So if you're interested, you know, just let me know any other projects maybe you'd like me to try. And if you have any advice for a beginner sewer, or if you have any like easy like go-to patterns in the style of dress you think I would like, then yeah, leave those commented below. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.